Hello and welcome to my video today. I have an item in from a new company that I've never used before. They are called Viofo and they specialize in dash cams. So let's get started. Opening up the box, we see that they have included a 32 gigabyte MicroSD card with an SD card adapter. So this can be used with the device. It is recommended to use high endurance cards since this is a high temperature area, and that is definitely the thing to use. So I'll be taking that out and placing it in the device. We have two boxes in here, and here is the box itself. This is a Viofo A119 Mini 2 with a Sony Starvis 2 sensor. It is 2K HDR, also has multiple exposure HDR, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and it also has voice control. Some other info on the side. It says Quad HD 1440p, Super Night Vision, GPS logger, parking mode, voice control, and Bluetooth remote, which is optional. We have some information for the app, which I already downloaded on my phone. And on the back, we have some more information. Here's the resolution that it lists right here. It mentions 2560 by 1600p at 30 frames per second. It also offers 2560 by 1440p, and it allows you 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second. And pretty much everything else. One thing listed here that I didn't see before is it supports microSD cards of up to 512 gigabytes. All right, so let's open this up. The dash cam itself is wrapped in this plastic bag. Take it out. There's some other information too, but let's look at the dash cam itself. And on this side of it, we have the screen along with some buttons, which I'll go over when I start it up. Let's see, on the side, we have a USB-C power port, micro SD card port. We have a mounting plate on the back with 3M double-sided tape. There's also a GPS module already in place. And that's about it. I guess it has a power up here too, so I guess you can power it from here or here. I'll test it out, see which location I like better. And then we have the lens itself. When you have this mounted, you can adjust the lens for the proper location to get the best coverage out of the windshield. And when you're ready, you can peel off this protective coating right here. I'm actually going to do that now. All right, so there we go. Let me put this down for a minute. Before I go through the rest of the things in the box, there is also another box here, and this is a circular polarizing lens filter, CPL 100. And what this allows you to do is it can further reduce reflections from the windshield and getting a more saturated and beautiful video. Yes, I have attached a CPL filter to previous dash cams, and it definitely helps with any of the glare or reflections on the windshield, especially from the dashboard, which happens on the Fisker Ocean. So I recommend getting this optional filter for the dash cam. Let me take it out and have a closer look at it. It is a tiny little guy here. And it is wrapped in plastic. And it seems to be pretty much the same both directions. And if you look at the dash cam, it has a little notch on the top and the bottom where this will slide into. So let's put that on right now. It will snap into place. And when you're ready, you can remove this protective coating for the filter. So yeah, so you can use this with the dash cam and it'll give you better clarity. All right, what else do we have in the box? We have the user manual here. I'm not going to go over everything, but here's the table of contents. You get a product overview, installation, operation, managing videos, review and control on a smartphone, install optional accessories, system settings, firmware upgrade, etc. So yeah, so you get plenty of information. What's included with this kit. We have some optional accessories here. For example, I got the CPL and the MicroSD card. This also goes over all of the buttons on the device and what they do. And we have some LED indicators, buttons, and icons, and so forth. So you can rely on this manual if you have any questions for the operation. What else do we have here? We have a sticker. All right. We have professional customer service. We have some information about the warranty period. We have product registration here. Good stuff. Read before installation. To prevent manufacturing errors, please test all cameras and accessories before installation. Check if GPS module is mounted on the camera. Check if GPS module can supply power. Remove all protective films from the camera lenses. Insert micro SD card. Check if front dash cam can record normally. If your dash cam has 2 or 3 channel cameras, connect the rear camera. And this is only one camera here, just the one that's built in. I don't have any additional cameras with this kit. We also have some film here. One of these you can put on the windshield where you want to mount the dash cam. This is supposed to give you better adhesion to the mount. So I'm guessing I'll check that out, see how that works. There's 2 of them. So in case you change the car or change the location, you have 2 of these to work with. What else do we have here? We have a plastic pry bar or trim removal tool. We have a USB-A to USB-C cable here. We have also in here, we have some extra 3M double-sided tape for mounting. Let's open this last bag up. And we have a long USB-A to USB-C cable for routing to the power source in your vehicle. In my case, I'll be showing you how I do that. I'm going to be mounting it from the windshield area to the back of the vehicle. I'm going to be using the 12-volt outlet, and I'll show you how that works. And this also has a 12-volt adapter here. So you could plug this in if you want to charge it from your 12-volt power supply, or if you have a USB port in the car, you can use that as well. So that about does it for the unboxing. I'm going to get the SD card now. Let me take that out. Here's our SD card. You can keep the adapter in case you want to load the SD card onto a laptop or computer and you need to have that. Keep that. And here is the card itself. I am going to insert that in. I am going to place it like that. and then push it in with your fingernail. It'll snap into place. And we now have the SD card in. So of course this SD card is 32 gigabytes. You can have up to 512. I may be using another one. Here is another one I have. This is a SanDisk high endurance card, 256 gigabytes, that I find very handy to use on trips. I can record an entire multi-day trip using just one of these micro SD cards. So if that's what you're planning to do with the video, I recommend getting a larger one so that you don't run out of space. So before I go to the car, I'm going to do a quick test of the dash cam, make sure it turns on, and go over some of the buttons on the dash cam itself. So I have the included USB cable here. I'm going to plug the USB A side into a power brick right here. And then on the other side, I have the USB-C. I can either connect it to the port right here or the one on the top right here. So I am going to press this in. And then let's see what happens. So all right, it is powering on. All right, so as soon as it's plugged in, it will start up and start recording immediately, which is very nice. For cars that have powered on ports, when you turn on the car, that is very handy. You don't have to turn the device on, it's automatic. Let's go over the top of the screen here. We have a little camera icon with a blinking red light. That means it's recording. We have a little microphone icon. Oh, in case the screen turns off, you can turn it back on. There's also some settings we can adjust for that a little bit later. It also shows that there is recording. It's at 40-something seconds. The resolution is 1440p at 30 frames per second. And we also have some information on the speed. It's set for kilometers per hour. There's a date as well as time, and it shows a little icon for the MicroSD cards installed. Then we have a number of lights here. We have the power light, the recording light, the mic light, and the Wi-Fi light. So the buttons down here, as you can see, this one here is Wi-Fi. So you can go through and turn Wi-Fi on and off with that switch. Let's see what else we have here. This is the power on or menu button. So if you hold this down, it will power the device off. Or if the screen turns off, you can just press it and it brings the screen back on. So, and you can also go through the menus, selections, by going through the rec and mic button. This is the menu up button, and this is the menu down button, but it also is the recording button and the microphone button. Down here we have this button with the exclamation on it is for video protect, and also it will confirm any of the changes you make in the menus. It's also the playback button. Let's go into the main menu itself. To enter the menu, press stop recording first. So what we're going to do is going to stop recording. So you can see the light is off now. So let me go through the menu. And here's the setup here. We can go down and up. Let's go into the resolution. So I'm going to press this button here, and you have the choices. The default is 2560 by 1440p, 30 frames per second. You could also change that to 60 frames per second, or you can have higher resolution at 30 frames per second, and then the very highest resolution right here, 2592 by 1944p by 30 frames per second. So that's the highest resolution. The lowest resolution here is 1080p, 30 frames per second. So I am going to go with the highest resolution since I like that. Let's go down to bitrate. We have high, medium, and low. So bitrate's going to be the quality of the recording. So obviously this is going to be a low, medium, or high quality. I am going to go for the high setting. I am going to go to loop recording. You can set the loop time before it repeats the recording. So what it does is if you have it on 3 minutes, it'll record each section in 3 minutes, and it'll keep doing new recordings at 3-minute lengths. So you can have it at that. Let's see, is there 5 minutes and 10 minutes? So you can actually have it longer. Actually, 5 minutes is pretty good for me since I like to do a lot of these recordings while I'm on trips. So having a 5-minute one is nice for me. Let's go down to exposure. You can adjust the exposure. Right now its default is 0, so you can make it brighter by going plus or darker by going minus. I'm going to keep the default here. I am going to go to the next one here is HDR. HDR on or off. Let's see if we change HDR on, does that change your resolution? So let me go back up to resolution here and see. Nope, you can still have full resolution, it appears, even with HDR. All right, that is good to know. I am going down again to parking mode. Let's see what parking mode has. I'm going to leave parking mode off. I'm not really concerned with that at this time, but if you did want to use it, you can have auto event detection. So if there's some movement around your car, I think it will detect that. You can also have a time lapse, 1 frame per second, 2 frames per second, 3 frames. So that'll use a lot of your space on the SD card if you use a time lapse like that. So I guess if you have a place you're parking and you're not sure and want to be a little bit more secure, you can have it at the higher frames per second. So interesting. I'm going to leave it off for mine though. You can go and turn the parking mode on. So, and parking mode recording duration. I don't know. You can have it for 12, 24, or 48 hours. So that is interesting. Parking G sensor. So you can have it for detecting any, I guess, the motion or any pressure on the car. I'm not sure how strong it is, but it has low, middle, and high sensitivity. Parking motion detection, so you can have it on low, middle, or high sensitivity. Time-lapse recording, you can have it go on all these settings, 100, 200, 500, 1 second, 2 second, 5 second, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, every minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So very flexible with time-lapse recording. We also have GPS. We can turn GPS on. Disable GPS in parking mode. On. Makes sense. Speed unit. We are going to switch, since I am in the US, I'm going to switch it to miles per hour. I am now going to go to G sensor. G sensor, you can have low, middle, and high sensitivity. We can look at Wi-Fi. You can pick your band. Privacy mode, on or off. I'm just going to leave it off right now. Bluetooth button function. You can also turn it into a mic button or an action button. So you could use it for all these different settings. So very cool. I'm going to go back out and go down to date stamp. Date stamp on. GPS info. I'm going to have speed and coordinates. Yeah, why not have that on. Camera model stamp. I don't think that's a big deal. I'm going to have that off. Record audio, I'm going to have on, I guess you can have it low, medium, or high volume. So if you do want that. Screensaver, that's when the screen turns off. So you can have it 30 seconds. Sometimes I think that's a little short. So 1 minute seems to be better for me. Let's go down, boot delay. You can have it start immediately. You can wait 5 seconds or wait 10 seconds. I'm just going to leave it off. LED, we can turn on and off. I'm going to leave it on. Date and time. Let's see. Oh, actually, you know what? It is day, month, year. So this is correct so far. So let's go that. Let's go to the time. The time is 15. So yeah, so I need to go 15, and that looks good. Yeah, so that is good for the date and time. Time zone. Oh yeah, I forgot which time zone I'm in. I'm just going to leave it to default for right now. Language, English. Volume, you can set the volume. I'm going to set the volume to low. Oh, does that make a little bit lower? Voice notification on. Oh, why not? Voice control on. Voice command. So here's all the things you can do. Take photo, video start. You can go video stop. A whole bunch of different things. So let's go to the next. Beep sound. Beep sound we can make startup, button beep only. I don't know. I'll just leave it on. Doesn't make too much of a difference to me. Frequency, 50 hertz. I think we are 60. Image rotation, I am going to be off. Image mirror, I'm going to leave off. Format, so that's going to format the MicroSD card. I don't need to do that right now. Well, actually, you know what? Why don't we just format it? Let's see how long that takes. Oh, that was pretty fast. So it's a quick format. Format warning, what's that? Oh, I guess it's 15, 30, 60 days. I'm just going to leave that off. Default settings, so that throws everything back into default, so I don't want to do that. Car number, I guess if you have multiple cars or a fleet, you can put that information in. Custom text stamp, I am just going to leave that blank. I don't need that. And firmware version, let's see what the firmware version is. It is A119 Mini 2 version 2.1, build 2024-10-10, so seems pretty recent there. Looks like it got its last update in October. So let's go out of that. So there we go. So that's pretty much
recording started.
That's pretty much the buttons and menu on the Viofo dashcam. I can also take this protective piece of plastic off after I install it. So I'll keep that on for right now. So I hope that gives you an idea of how this works. I've had this on for a little while. It gets a little bit warm right around here, but not too bad. Yeah, so very interesting. Let's now go to the car and install it. Oh, and one more thing. I measured the USB cable and it is 11 feet, 4 inches long. I am sitting in the Fisker Ocean in the passenger seat area. Here is the rear view mirror. The dash cam is going to be located right at the base of the mirror here. I'm going to make sure that it's level and centered. And one reason I'm going to have the USB coming out the side is that it won't hit the mirror mount area here, so that it will run up here. So the USB cable will be underneath this trim. I'm going to have it go under here, under the headliner, across the windshield to this corner of the A-pillar. I'm going to have it go around. Then I'm going to have it go between the trim here and the weather seal, go all the way down. And I remove the threshold panel that was here for the door. I'm going to run the wire all along here inside this until we get to this trim right here, and then the cable is going to come right here and then go under the seat. Under the seat, I'm going to have the 12-volt cable from the trunk, and I'll show you what it looks like when I have everything done. Remember that plastic film that I showed you in the unboxing? We're now going to install this in this area right here. It's recommended to put it directly on the windshield. There are 2 numbers on here. Number 1 side gets here, and then you pull the number 2 side off when you're ready to mount the dash cam. So make sure that this area is clean. If you can, use some isopropyl alcohol on the glass can't hurt. When that area is nice and clean, I'm going to take the plastic and remove that inside layer off of it. Now I'm going to place it so that it is straight across that area underneath the mirror, and I'm going to place it on. If you have any sort of squeegee or microfiber cloth, you can take it and spread it across here. Make sure that there's no bubbles. Now this is ready to remove that outer coat. Peel that off. Now you can take the dash cam and remove the protective plastic off of that 3M double-sided tape. Like so. And when you're ready, start the installation. What you want to do is make sure that this is level and centered. And then what you're going to do is press up on it, and it's going to adhere to that plastic film. I'm going to hold it for a little bit, make sure it stays in place. You can also now remove that protective plastic off of the dash cam screen. So far, I took a little bit of the USB cable and tucked it underneath that mirror housing. All you need to do is use that little plastic pry bar, pull up a little bit on it, and then you can tuck the wire right behind it. So super easy. Make sure you leave enough slack in the cable so that you can then attach it to the USB-C port that's on the side of the dash cam. So I'm going to try that right now. All right, so it is attached. I actually have the dash cam on right now for testing, so I can adjust the camera lens here. I can push it up or down so that I get a good view of the outside area, outside the windshield. It's best to do this during the daytime so you can see outside and make sure that everything is nice and level. Here we can see the edge of that mirror area here. I am going to wedge this a little bit so I can get the cable around the corner. Should fit inside the plastic housing. I've wired a previous setup in this area with no problem. Then just tuck it underneath the headliner all the way across. You don't even need the plastic pry bar at this point. You can just tuck it up there, go all the way across. And up here around this edge here. And then tuck it underneath the A-pillar section right here. You have to pull this down a little bit to get it inside that area. Once you have it tucked underneath the corner here in the A-pillar, it's not going to be touching anything. This is the airbag along here, but this wire is going to be going behind the headliner piece right here, so it's not going to interfere with the airbag. And here we have a close-up of the area where I have the wire. The wire went behind this corner here, and it went behind the headliner along here. It's behind here, and then it comes out right around this corner, and I have it in between the corner here and the weather stripping right here, and then I'm just going to push it all the way in along this area here. So it is just going to fit in there. You can use the plastic pry bar and just wedge it all along here. When you get the wire under this area, just make sure you smooth it out, and it goes behind here all the way down to this point here, and then I am just going to tuck it behind here out of the way. And then what I'm going to do is have it come out right here. And then you could also, if you wish, have it go underneath this plastic trim and just go underneath the seat right around this area here, so it's not too noticeable. So I am going to tuck this in with the plastic pry bar. Hard to do this one-handed, but you get the idea. And then I am going to have it come out here. So now we'll go to the second row and show you what it looks like. So now we're under the passenger front seat, and we have the USB cable that came out from the dash cam. I am now going to attach the 12-volt power to it. So this adapter will plug in like that. And then I ran a 12-volt extension from the trunk area, and then this will attach right here. So now we will get power to the dash cam from the trunk. And what's nice about this 12-volt power is that this only turns on when the car is on, and when the car is locked, this will shut off. So you don't have any wasted power going to the dash cam. The only problem with that is that you can't use any of the parking modes. It's only going to be used for the dash cam. So if you want to have it on all the time, you will need to attach this to the USB port that's in the center console, and you could route this cable to that location. Shouldn't be a problem. However, I just want to use this as a dash cam while I'm driving, and I don't need to have it always powered. So it's up to you if you want to use the 12-volt from the trunk or the USB in the center console. Then I can just tuck this under the seat, and it is out of the way. I'll even put this underneath the mat, and you probably don't even see the wires. So yeah, other than this little section right here of wire, it's a pretty nice installation. As far as the 12-volt extension goes, I ran that behind this area here, below the door threshold, behind this trim, behind the seat here, and then it comes out in this corner. I run it underneath the mat, and then it just attaches to the 12-volt outlet right here. I happen to have one that has a switch on it, but you can get one that doesn't. It really doesn't matter. I recommend getting a 10-foot extension, and that should give you plenty of room to reach the front seat area. And that's about it for setting up the power. Well, that about wraps it up on this part 1 video where I cover the unboxing and installation of the Viofo A119 Mini 2 dash cam on my Fisker Ocean. Stay tuned for part 2 where I will cover using the dash cam while I'm driving as well as with your smartphone. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you're interested in this item, see the link in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.